Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, presented by 13 Fishing Canada. Make your own luck. We're here to scratch that angling itch and talk everything fishing. Join us as we sit down with special guests from across the industry. Now, here's your hosts, Logan Lewis
and Jesse Cadron.
This is the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, episode 124, I believe. I'm joined by my co-host, Jesse Cadron. And we've got an exciting one today. We are joined by South Sass Fishing Adventures, Arden Pierce. It's a fun episode, just over an hour there in the interview section, talking about all things, I guess, if you want to say southwestern Diefenbaker. He's down in Beaver Flat there, right near Sask Landing. Lots of great information, little known area of the lake for myself and Jesse, so it was interesting to talk to Arden and find out more about it. But before we get into that, how's things going, Jesse?
Yeah, things are good, Logan. We're down to the last 3 weeks here at Lac Lamart. This is my final week at the lodge, my last 6 days here, which is pretty crazy. It's gone by super quick, especially the second half of the season, I feel like has just disappeared. It feels like just a couple weeks ago I was towing that dock back from Walleye, and that was like mid-season break, and so that's hard to believe. But we've got pretty full camp in here, very full camp next week, and hopefully the cold weather switches and pushes some trout up shallow. Right now it's still super hot. The fires are burning at the north end of the lake, and it looks like apocalyptic outside right now. It's like a very orangey yellow sky, very spooky. Ash is falling on the lodge island. It's kind of spooky out there. Spooky September is right around the corner. So yeah,
no doubt. But
things are good. I'm excited to get home and get some deer cameras out, get some feed out there, get baiting and get in the woods again. Get home, see the family, see the girlfriend, of course. I better say that or she'll be mad at me.
Frequent listener.
But yeah, man, things are good.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's it's crazy how quickly time's gone there. And I know I agree with you. It seems like not long ago you're telling the story about towing the dock, and then now, I mean, obviously you're coming home a little bit earlier to go off to, is it bear camp or moose camp?
Moose.
Yeah, off to moose camp there. So no, time's flying here. We're getting closer to fall. We had a little bit there where it felt like fall was coming, at least down south here. And now we're back to a little bit of a hot streak, but I was not complaining about the 20 degrees. It's way more enjoyable for me.
I'm so happy summer's sticking around a little longer.
Yeah. No, it's fall's an exciting time. I've kind of done the same. I've transitioned a little bit, doing some trail cam stuff. I still have another fishing trip planned here, like we talked about last episode there for Thanksgiving. Nice fall trout trip, but I mean, I'll probably get out in the boat. I would think 1 or 2 times before that, kind of see what's going on. Maybe try for some pike too. I don't know. See what happens. But yeah, otherwise looking forward to that trip and getting hunting. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I was just thinking about driving to work the other day. I'm like, September 1st is coming up pretty soon here. And
quick.
I'm not even totally thinking about actually being out hunting yet,
like
other
weekends.
Than getting the trail cams going. Yeah, no, for sure. So that'll be there before we know it, and then birds as well, and busy time.
Exciting time.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we don't have too much here in the intro. Not too much has changed on our ends here. Jesse's still guiding away there, and I'm just down south hanging out. Haven't got out in the boat, so not too much to report on there. But before we get into the episode here with Arden, obviously got to mention the sponsors, 13 Fishing Canada. Huge thanks to them for being the presenting sponsor of the show. Pick up some baits for some of that fall fishing, some jigging wraps, things like that. I'm looking forward to trying out some of the new ones there too, the Jigging Wrap X, I believe. And then who knows, even could start thinking about some ice fishing stuff as well, get that stuff ready. I'll be taking mine out of the shed. I'm sure we're talking about how quickly summer went by here. It'll be no time, it feel like, before I'm pulling it out of the shed there, getting everything ready for ice fishing as well. So big thanks to 13 Fishing Canada for being the presenting sponsor of the show. You can use the code Weekend Warriors and save yourself 15% off everything on the Rapala Canada website at checkout. Next up, where do we want to go? Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation, talking about hunting, talking about fishing, talking about stock trout. They're part of that all. Great community to be a part of. Head over to the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation, figure out what your local branch is, get your membership today. Never too late. Like I said, great community to be a part of. Access to some land for hunting once we get into that season. They run the fish cultivation station, so all your stock trout lakes, everything like that, you can thank them for that. So big thanks to Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation for sponsoring the podcast and for everything they do in the province as well for hunting and fishing in the outdoors. Next up, Angler's Edge Mapping. Just had an episode there with Craig. What was that? Was that 1 or 2 ago?
2 ago now, I think.
2 ago? Yes, 2. Yeah, because Paul was after that. So a couple episodes ago, check that one out. Find out what's happening for 2026, some of the new maps, everything like that. Who do we got in the background? Surprise appearance? Future guest, Brado, Stinky Bee Flies. Coming. See you later. Coming in there. But yeah, what were we talking about? Angler's Edge Mapping?
Angler's Edge Mapping.
Yeah, so head over to the website that they have, check out all the new maps for this year, see if there's any around you, see what's available on the Avenza Maps app. They can't get the newer maps up there, but still lots of great maps on there. And if you have a Lowrance or you're thinking about getting one, you can get the chip for that as well. Or you can buy some of these awesome prints like I have behind me here of Clearwater Lake in Manitoba. You can get those for tons of the lakes as well. So big thanks to Craig and the team over at Angler's Edge Mapping for sponsoring the pod. Lastly, Lac Adventures. Last episode was a heavy, well, not heavy, but there's lots of great information. You can see that's Jesse based on a shirt there, Lac Adventures. Last episode had a lot of cool information about the lake itself and some of the biology behind it. So definitely give that one a listen if you haven't yet. But yeah, huge thanks to them. Like Jesse said here earlier in the intro, hopefully some colder weather coming to get those trout moving up into the shallows, get the spawn going, everything like that. Getting closer to the end of the season there. Been another awesome season. Like you said, camp is going to be pretty full next week. Great fishing all the time. Jesse's been hitting that structure pike bite.
Yeah, the deep water pike, baby.
Yeah. Something that talking to some of the guys last night after recording too, they're pretty pumped about getting on that. Hey.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just because it's so new and something exciting for us to all kind of put our brains together and think about and try to learn. Because to this point, like, there's not a lot of new weed beds to discover. I mean, there's still some out there, I'm sure, but the bays and the weeds have all been fished, and now it's like, oh, what's this new way of catching big pike? So if you
didn't have live scope going there, like obviously you're casting at these fish. If you didn't have it, how good would the success rate be, do you think? Like, they're there, but
with competent anglers, I think no problem. Brado, or Stinky Bee Flies Braden, who just dropped in, he does not have live scope, and he's still been successful on this deep stuff. He's either trolled it with lead weight just to get down to depth, or he's just had his guys cast it. The biggest thing is good mapping. You got to really map out that structure so you know exactly where your boat is, and you know exactly where your guys are casting. And
right.
But you got to have the guys that can, like,
feel bottom
and know not to hook rocks, and like know that if you're reeling, your lure's just going up, and like you got to let it pause. And, but yeah, it's definitely doable without it. Yeah.
No, that's nice.
Now that I'll just quickly say on this topic, my last fish of guiding in 2026 was on a new piece of deep water structure, and it was a 41 3/4, I think, 41 3/4. So that was a good way to end my last week guiding for the season. For sure. Yeah, I was pumped up.
Yeah, no, that's sweet. I know I've tried, I think it was outside of Cliffs, I tried fishing some of those, like they're shallower, big boulder areas, right? And we did pull some pike off that, but also that was early spring as well. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if those fish are there all year round, or what the deal is there. I mean, obviously the bays are king in the spring, but it'd be interesting to see what they hold all year. Yeah, so
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's Lac Adventures.
That's it. And I think our listeners are going to enjoy this episode coming up with Arden.
No, for sure.
He's got a lot of good insight for southern Saskatchewan and for Lake Diefenbaker specifically.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed talking with him, and I'm excited to get down and try to fish with him here one day.
For sure. Yeah, that'll be something we have to do early ice. But like I said, that's all we got for the intro here. So we'll catch you on the flip side in the outro. Well, sitting down tonight with Arden Pierce from South Sass Fishing Adventures. We've been talking about this for I think a couple weeks now on Instagram. Hey,
Yeah, back and forth on that. So yeah.
yeah, no, it's nice to finally touch base and get an episode rolling here. This one's going to be pretty interesting. This is an area of Diefenbaker that you call home that myself and Jesse have been pretty interested in. And we are kind of talking about, and when I say that area, I'm talking like Riverhurst down. We know nothing about. I know you're quite a bit down from Riverhurst, but it's an area that we've been pretty intrigued by just looking at maps and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a pretty information full episode for myself and Jesse. But I guess just for some of the people who maybe aren't familiar with you or South Sass Fishing Adventures, maybe give kind of a brief history of yourself and the company, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on here. Like you said, we've been kind of talking back and forth. So yeah, it's great to get on and chat with you guys. So yeah, I'm the owner and operator with my wife, Nicole, of South Sass Fishing Adventures. We're based kind of out of that Beaver Flats area. So I guess if people don't know where Beaver Flats is, lots of people know where Sask Landing is. We're probably about 20 miles to the east of Sask Landing area, down the river, I guess. So yeah, and that's home for us. Background. So I guess I spent the majority of my childhood and whatnot at Kyle, Saskatchewan. That's just north of Sask Landing. So we moved to Kyle. I was in about grade 7. And of course, you leave all your buddies back home. You know, I was from Beaulieu back then. And moved to Kyle, left all my buddies. I was like, I'm not too sure what to think of this place, but we went. I can still remember the weekend like it was yesterday. We went down to Sask Landing and we were going to spend the day on the beach, but of course I snuck my fishing rod in the truck and I ended up getting out there doing a little fishing and did really good that day. And I was like, okay, this place is home for me now. So, and I've kind of been like a river rat ever since. So, but yeah, like that's my home down in that west end, I guess, of Diefenbaker, so to speak. So, yeah.
Right. For sure. And have you spent much time, like we'll say, we'll split the lake up, Riverhurst Southwest and Riverhurst North. Have you spent much time in the other part of the lake at all?
Yeah. So we get up there a little bit. Mostly that's like mostly my me time as far as the guiding. I don't get up there too much. We'll get darn close to Riverhurst when that water turns a little dirty. We'll get up in that Prairie Lake, in between Prairie Lake and Riverhurst, and in that area a little bit. So I do go up into the Riverhurst area and even east of that a bit when we're hunting for rainbow trout. We do have rainbows down in that Beaver Flat area as well. We don't target them a lot just because they aren't quite as healthy of a population as what we'd have in that area and stuff like that. So generally speaking, if I'm up at that end of the park, or of the lake, I'll usually be targeting trout.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty sweet there. And then I guess as far as how you got things rolling with the business, what did that look like? I know we talked a little bit about, or before recording, about what you had going on with jobs and whatnot, but how does one end up with their own outfitting business there out of Beaver Flats?
Yeah. So I guess in Saskatchewan, the ministry isn't offering any more tickets. They haven't for quite a few years. So you have to wait until somebody's going to sell their ticket in order to have an opportunity for guiding in Saskatchewan. So I bought my ticket from a fellow who was guiding out of Sask Landing. Tom is his name. He had his ticket for sale, and I seen it come up for sale, and I said to my wife, Tom's ticket is for sale. And she pretty much without hesitation said, you're buying that ticket. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of bad timing, Nicole. And, you know, all of this stuff, kind of like trying to talk myself out of it, I guess, kind of an idea. I can be an overthinker for sure, but she just was really persistent. She said, like, you know, I've witnessed you for the last, 13, 14 years. You have a passion for getting at people fishing, for, you drill holes for people. If you find a hook that's working, you'll go over to their ice shack and you'll be like, hey, this is working here. Tip this with a minnow or whatever, right? She was just so persistent. She said, just phone Tom and tell him you'll take it. So that's kind of how we got into it. My wife bullied me into it, I guess, kind of a thing. But at the same time, it's definitely what I wanted to do. It's something that I've always kind of wanted to do, and I'm glad she gave me that extra push. I was in the insurance industry for 21 years, so I'm now full-time fishing, and wow, it's like it's a dream come true.
What a change there.
Yeah, exactly.
What year did you purchase that allocation?
Yeah, we've been about 4 years with the tickets.
Okay.
So, and yeah, I was working full time at the time. I thought, hey, this is going to be a great gig. I'll do this on weekends. I'll use my vacation, time to do some guiding. And then once I retire, then I'll do that kind of full time as a retirement gig. And yeah, it just got to the point to where I used all my vacation time up in June, and I called and gave my notice. And yeah, that was about just a little over a year ago now. So it's been a little bit of a transition into sitting at a computer, all day long kind of a thing, but it's been a good transition though too. So
That's
For
amazing.
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet. And I guess when you took that jump, like, did it take much to push you to do it, or was it kind of just like this is rolling right now? I kind of gotta capture it.
Yeah, so a little bit of both, I guess. Definitely some hesitation there, right? Like they were putting money in my account every 2 weeks, whether I wanted it or not, working for the insurance company, you know what I mean? And then to
Hmm.
go to leaving a steady job, kind of a thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say, into something that's, kind of unpredictable, et cetera, whatever. It was big for me. I enjoyed my job that I had as well too. So that was a little bit of a transition, but there's just so much rewards with guiding. It's a good life for sure. So it
For sure.
took a little bit of a jump. Again, my wife did a little bit of bullying and just said just to make the jump, and I'm glad to have her on my side for sure. So
And so does she do that full time as well?
no, she works in the health region here in
Okay,
Swift. So yeah, so
sweet.
but she does help out
No,
a
that's
lot, especially in the winter. The winter is really demanding. When I do a three shack turnover, she usually takes the day off and comes and helps me. So she spends a lot of her vacation days helping out with that. So
okay. Nice.
yeah,
Well, that's what it
That's a
takes.
good
I mean,
team.
it's
yeah.
yeah, exactly. It'd be pretty difficult to do all that just by yourself all the time. So, no, that's definitely good there. And I guess, like myself and Jesse are somewhat familiar, obviously, with the makeup of Diefenbaker, but for someone who's not, maybe explain the difference between that Beaver Flats area compared to the rest of Diefenbaker. Like, I guess people would normally call that more the river. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I would say so. We do call it the river. So me and my buddies will say I'm going down to the river fishing kind of a thing. We don't really call it a lake as much. Would I classify it as a river? Not really. It's not even really a noticeable current unless they have the floodgates open. Then there's a little bit more current down there, and of course then we see our
Okay.
muddy water, etc. For me, I would say the biggest difference between the two would be obviously the size of it, the width, the depth and whatnot. So that would be the biggest thing. So for me, that it's been home for me. So I've spent quite a bit of time up fishing in there, but at the same time, the benefits for our end of the lake, I think are good. Like our water warms up in the spring quite a bit faster, being that we have so much less water coming through there. And I think another huge benefit is those storms. I know that's a big factor on Diefenbaker, especially at the other end of the dam. By the dam, it can get rowdy pretty quick. Whereas
Hmm.
at our end, if I can get across the river, maybe sneak into a coulee or something like that and get out of a bad windstorm, etc., pretty quick. Whereas down there, if you're out in the open, you're at the mercy down there for sure. So
Right.
few
Yeah.
little benefits. So I think both ends of the dam have like structure is huge for us there. Like some of my favorite spots we're fishing there. We have a foot of a drop for every foot of horizontal kind of a thing. Like so we have some crazy, crazy drop offs, and I think we have a lot of those down at the other end of the lake as well. But it's one thing I love about that area. So yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's I personally have never been to Sask Landing ever,
Okay.
so I don't even know what the makeup of the area is like, other than just looking when me and Jesse were trying to plan a trip and looking at the
The
satellite images.
maps.
So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like obviously they've got the Sask Landing tournament down there, so it's a popular enough place. But I'm guessing you'd be a little bit quieter down there compared to the northern area of the lake too.
Yeah, I would think so for sure. And then one thing with Lake Diefenbaker, it's so huge. Like even, it's a great thing, but it's also a little bit of a crappy thing too. Like it's nothing for me to blow $150 in fuel in the boat in a day. You're sometimes you're
Hmm.
ripping around that place like, crazy versus some
Trying to find
lakes.
some fish.
Exactly. Some lakes you might put on 10 miles in a day, etc., whatever. So it's one thing with Diefenbaker for sure, but yeah, that's part of the game, I guess, right? So, but as
Right,
far
for
as
sure.
I wouldn't say it's crowded by any means. In fact, we've had done some TV shows, etc., and the hosts will say, like, I can't even believe that we've seen 5 boats in 2 days of taping this show. It's like it's insane. So I know that just we had Jason Mitchell out, and that just blew him away. That we've seen 5 or 6 boats in 2 days. He said we would have seen probably 200 boats if we were on Devils on these last 2 days. So that's one great thing about it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And just like a last mountain too, you can go out there and see quite a few. So no, that's nice. And you mentioned kind of some of the longer runs. I know I've heard that a lot with the Sask Landing tournament. Guys driving like an hour or something like that. What is the reason for that? Is that just due to murky water and you're trying to find different water, or is it actually you're kind of that spread out at times?
No, it's probably chasing that temperature of the water. So that
Okay.
end of July, those fish definitely are making their way all the way down to Prairie Lake. So that's kind of in between Beaver Flat and Riverhurst's Prairie Lake. Herbert
Okay.
Ferry, I guess that's a popular. It's right across the lake from Prairie Lake. So,
Okay.
but that's the biggest thing. By that second week in July, those fish are down there due to the water temperatures and stuff like that. So we'll launch from right from Sask Landing for about the first month, pretty much the month of May, we'll launch right from Sask Landing. That water's definitely the warmest down there. And then we'll just chase that warm water, just keep going east
As it
and
goes
whatnot.
down.
As it goes down, we'll chase it. Yeah, exactly. So sort of the same idea
That's cool.
in the winter too. First ice, it seems like the fishing's a little better at South Landing, and then it just seems like that murky water starts to come in, and it'll just flush those fish to the east, and we just keep chasing them that way. So
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
That's
the
very
nice thing is
cool.
you could, like you mentioned, you could probably run that area of the lake a lot better than the northern areas, right? Like as far as the width and everything like that.
yeah,
Like I'm sure it still gets rocking and rolling pretty good when the wind's just right, but
yeah,
it'd be nice to be able to tuck away quickly if you needed to and
yeah.
whatnot. And as far as like depth and stuff like that, what's like, is there areas that get quite deep like the north, or is it mostly shallower?
Yeah, so I can still find 90 feet of water pretty easy, like even right out in front of Beaver Flat. If I can find that old riverbed in there, that's our really deep water in there. So obviously we're fishing under 30 feet pretty much exclusively. The only way I'll go any deeper than that is if it's maybe a suspended fish in that water column or whatever. So,
Right.
but yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, no, some suspendos. That's
yeah,
something that LiveScope has totally changed.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Targeting those suspended marks, and yeah, I've been very surprised the number of walleye I've caught that are like 10, 15 feet down. Maybe I've just slid off a break and I'm in like 35, 40, something like that, and didn't realize. And yeah, for them to be only 10 feet down, 15 feet down, it's pretty nuts to me. And you wouldn't have really ever thought that
Yes,
before
something
LiveScope, I
you'd
don't think.
never have targeted or seen those fish without
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
I know
for sure.
I've some of the episodes I've listened to with you guys, I've heard you talk like have debates on live scope and whatnot. I'll be honest, I'm old school. Like I maybe it was one of these guys who would have been like, oh, I'll snip the fish out, right? I don't need those tools, but I'm to the point where that it's hard to fish without them at this point, especially like I have a little tinner boat that I'll just go off and and it doesn't have a live scope up in it yet, and that's fun fishing for me too. But at the same time,
Mhm.
if I'm with clients and getting them on fishing, it's a really great tool for sure. So
Yeah, I think it all depends how, I guess, efficient you're wanting to be. Like, don't get me wrong, I love going out, whether it's in the kayak or something like that, and I don't
Mhm.
have any electronics at all in the kayak right now. And it was kind of nice when I was the weekend I was using. I was like, I'm just out here blind. It's like I'm blind again. Back like when I was a kid, and it was nice that way. But when you want to be efficient and you maybe just got one day of the weekend, or maybe only one weekend you can make it out in the month, you're like, I want to make this count. Or if
Sure.
you, like you said, you got clients
yeah,
and whatever that could turn into for numbers of fish and whatnot, you want to capitalize on that. So that's definitely fair though. And I know Deef is kind of a mixed bag. Like it's nice how many catchable species it has. I know we can, I mean, even though it's summer, we can touch on ice fishing as well. What's kind of the main species you are targeting or setting up on throughout the year?
Yeah, so we'll target walleye for most of the year, including the winter too. We'll usually set up kind of on pike, or sorry, on walleye, and then somewhere close enough where I can get to pike in the shallows, that kind of stuff, or tip up still. That's usually what I target
Mhm.
for in the winter time. Summer we'll usually target walleye as well, but then at some point in the trip we'll generally switch to pike. A lot of times I fillet the fish right on the boat, so a lot of times we'll get a mess of walleye, and then maybe we'll go into a coulee, find a weed bed, and we'll cast on that while I fillet fish and stuff like that. So a trip can sometimes look like that, but for the most part, we are targeting walleye. Now that doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to catch walleye, though. There is so many
Mhm.
species in that lake. It's maybe my favorite thing about Lake Diefenbaker is you just never know what you're going to catch, right? So, we could go from a 1 pound walleye to a 50-pound sturgeon the very next fish in the boat. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's crazy that way. I love it so much that way. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Do you get into many sturgeon down there? I know that seems like where most of them that do get caught in deep seem to be down that way, but
Yeah, we do get into, we'll maybe get about two a year. Of course, we're not targeting them though either, right? If a
right.
person did target them, I think you'd definitely be on them a lot more. We're usually set up with, with walleye gear, and you hook into this great big sturgeon. It's usually a little bit of a, fight at their mercy, so to speak. Um, this year, I think I seen more sturgeon on my live scope than any other year. We were probably averaging at least 10 to 15, seeing 10 to 15 like down there a
Wow.
day kind of a thing, especially early on when we were in that shallower water. So in that month of May, we seen a lot of sturgeon. Guys are starting to see them around the bridge and in Sask Landing area again already. So usually we don't see them until September again when they're up in the shallow, but they're starting to show already. So yeah,
Yeah.
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the evenings are kind of feeling like fall a little bit right now,
exactly.
even though today was plus 30 in Moose Jaw. It's still, the morning had some chill, and you could see on the windshield too. It wasn't frost, but definitely some condensation on there. So
Yeah.
they might be might be sensing that as well. And yeah, that's the cool thing about Deef that I enjoy too, is all the different species. Like when we were fishing the Riverhurst this year, saw a sturgeon on the live scope. There was more goldeye than a guy knew it. Like it was almost impossible to get down to some marks on bottom because the goldeye were so thick there. And obviously there's the walleye, pike mixed in, suckers. Like it was, you were catching all those species every day. Basically it was crazy that way. So I do like that. Even with live scope, you don't necessarily know what's going to be coming up
Right.
every single time. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I have a client who comes out quite often, and he's trying to get a master angler in every species that the master angler program has in Saskatchewan. And I think he's got 7 total to date. He got 6 of them with us. Like it just shows to Lake Diefenbaker, come here if you want a ton of different species. I love taking Joe out because he, we'll catch a goldeye, and that's exciting. It's like, hey, wait a sec, that's a master angler, and he's pumped about it.
yeah,
The first
That's
day he
sweet.
came out, yeah, it is. Because a lot of times a goldeye or maybe a sucker might be a fish where they'll be like, whatever,
Yeah, yeah. A
whereas
trash fish.
exactly. So it's pretty cool to have him, he gets so excited
Yeah.
about every species, which is great. We got that day, the first day he came out, we got 5 suckers that day, and we were actually bottom bouncing. It was a little later in the fall too, so we were going a little faster than what we would in the spring too. And we got 5 suckers that day, which that would maybe be, not a sought after day, but Joe loved it so much. So it was pretty cool.
I mean, they still fight good, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't complain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I'm
think you got a
surprised.
big
I'm
walleye.
surprised on the bottom bouncer too.
Yeah.
I could see like we got them a lot on slip bobbers or maybe jigging a leech kind of right by the bottom or drop shot or something. But yeah, on the pulling blades there, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You never know what it's going to be. They fight sometimes. Like you think it's going to be a heavier walleye, and then,
Yeah.
and then it's
They
the
dog
sucker.
good.
But yeah,
For
no,
sure.
they do for sure. And then I guess as far as the winter, like that's obviously a great area for pike as well. Like we're talking big pike there. So will you set up like, because you have some ice castles, correct? And so can you set those up in Pike area, or how does that work? Or do you just leave those in a general area and people can kind of day trip for tip ups?
Yeah, so what I'll generally try to do is set them up kind of on a good walleye spot, just because, it can be a long day if you're just set up for the pike alone. Of course, guys who want to target them, they'll day trip them and then come back to the ice castle, and we're set up there on walleye, so then they'll target their walleye, catch walleye in the evening, hit the evening bite and stuff like that, and then maybe do days back into the pike. But having said that, I always try to set them up where we have close enough pike where we can even just watch tip ups from the big ice house is kind of a thing too. So that's kind of where we try to set them up. So
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And do you get into a mess of burbot in the wintertime too?
Yeah, last year was great for burbot. We had a little bit of a streak. I don't know a bunch about it. Maybe you guys know more about it, but what I've read that burbot will be on a 5-year cycle. And I think we were just I'm hoping, touch wood, that last year was year 4 for us because it was great. I hope we get one more really great year like we did last year. But yeah, the evenings were great for burbot last year for sure. So
and that's something fun to have with those ice castles, right? When you're staying the night, you may as well have something that bites, even if you're just hanging out.
Exactly. Yeah. When I go back to the ice houses at the, when they're checking out, I always get lots of stories on how the burbot were biting in the middle of the night and they all got up and, hammered burbot for a while and whatnot. So yeah, pretty cool.
And some pretty good sized ones, I imagine, too. Like, you're probably getting some over 32, 34-inch range sort of deal.
Yeah, definitely getting some big ones. We are getting a lot of the little ones showing up, too, obviously. But, yeah, definitely lots of big ones and stuff. Yeah, one of Joe's fish was a burbot that he got out in his Master Angler program. So, yeah, definitely some big burbot down there. So, yeah, yeah. So especially when the walleye shut off, it's great to have the burbot show up, right? So
yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's it just makes that night go by so much better. Like lots of times when we're doing it, you're in your pop up, so I mean you're kind of just hanging out. It's nice in there, but also having something to do while you're sitting there through the night is nice. So those burb are definitely I think underappreciated, but I love
sure. It. Yeah, I agree for sure. Yeah, so I grew up kind of fishing on Last Mountain Lake, living in Beaulieu, and that's probably my fondest memories of fishing as a kid is, like the broken hockey stick handle with the screw at each end and then masonry line on there and, fighting these burbot with that hockey stick as a young kid where it feels like it's going to pull you down the hole kind of a thing. Yeah. Definitely some of my fondest memories of fishing for sure. So.
Yeah, the burb are good for that, and the fight they put up on a rod, I haven't fought them. I guess I fought them. So like on handline on tip ups, the odd time, but on a hockey stick would feel pretty good. I know what you're talking about there. I remember some of those from when I was younger, and obviously there's lots of numbers down there. But if anyone kind of pays attention around early ice, the walleye, you get some big walleye down there, some big pike too. Like it's kind of a nice mix, I guess, of some really trophy sized fish and numbers as well. Hey,
well, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You like it. It's honestly, you just never know what you're going to catch out there for sure. It's great that way. So yeah, last year, Nicole and I went out on some early ice and we found these, actually the Cisco's would come through the live scope and they would just be going through for, 35, 40 seconds, like just crazy to fill in the screen. And we just had big chunky girls coming in, chasing them around. It was so fun to watch, but man, the amount of overs we got in 2 days on that point and chasing those Cisco's was just crazy. So, but yeah.
So it's a very productive waterway, like with all the bait, with all the Goldeye and Cisco's, like you got a high biomass of fish around there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fun. And then, so like, what's some of the rarest or like coolest fish that you've hooked into down there and thought like, whoa, I can't believe this is here. Like, any brown trout or lake trout or anything goofy like that?
No, we haven't got into brown trout or lakes. I would say probably the sturgeon is maybe like the biggest surprise when you hook into that, because we're just always fishing for walleye or pike when we catch these sturgeon. In fact, the biggest
Yeah.
one I've ever caught was bottom bouncing 1.1 mile an hour, and that was a sturgeon. That one was actually on a TV show, which was pretty cool. And
Nice.
so yeah, that was our first fish in the boat kind of a thing. That was like a 65-inch sturgeon kind of a thing. So pretty
That's
cool.
big.
Made for some pretty good TV. But that's probably the one fish that takes you by surprise the most, right? Because you're not. I didn't mark that
Yeah.
one actually on the live scope either. We just happened into it. I had no idea for quite a while what it
65
even
inch
was.
fish, can't see it on the live scope. That's wild.
Yeah, I was kind of
Missed
gawking
it.
around, looking from side to side. I wasn't really looking behind or in
Yeah.
front at all, so I just missed it
Yeah.
completely. So that one took me by surprise for sure. So yeah,
I
but
was just I was just looking at the map there, and how far west do people typically go from Sask Landing? Like, you can kind of see where the river's kind of braids into the lake. Like, how far are people heading up fishing that way? I'm sure there's some guys that take some jet boats or something up there just for fun, but as
yeah.
far as fishing goes, what's that look like?
Well, you can probably still go with a prop boat quite a ways up. Like I would say you could probably go that 20, 30 miles still upriver from Sask Landing and still
Okay.
get away with it. Like there's Cavery Park. It's kind of up about, it'd be 15 miles maybe from Sask Landing kind of a thing. Maybe a little more than that actually. And they have productive walleye fishing there too. It'd be a little
Okay.
more current there at times, and of course, when we have these years, when we have the little bit more flood water, they're going to have a little bit murkier water, etc., whatever. But for the most part, early fishing is going to be good around that shallower water around Sask Landing, and that's where some people would definitely go west of Sask Landing. But at the same time, it's also really shallow there. So I spent some time there at the beginning of the year, and even 5 miles west of the bridge, I probably could only find 22 feet of water across there. There's quite a few sandbars
Okay.
even that show up early in the season up
Right.
there. So as a rule of thumb, there isn't definitely the boats that come out of the marina are definitely going more east than they're going west as far as for fishing goes. But at the same time, it's still fishable up there. And Lake Diefenbaker what they classify as Lake Diefenbaker goes a long ways to the west. It actually goes even west of Eston Park. So it definitely is even little more than what I would classify as a lake. It's a lot like a creek up there. So
Right. Yeah, I was just looking at that Eston Riverside Golf Club area.
yeah,
And it looks like it'd be awesome to jet boat, like the way the braids around, and I'm sure the
yeah,
hills and everything there are pretty crazy too. But
yeah.
yeah, kind of more the adventure side of things, I guess. I don't know how productive it might be as a fishing trip, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Good
So-
ecotourism.
Exactly. We did some hunting up there, and we had a little bit of boat trouble with our little tinner, and got in a little bit late. Of course, the boys were at the front of the boat with flashlights just to tell me where the sandbars were. And we had quite a few fish would come around the boat with that flashlight on. Like we had a sturgeon that kind of came up beside the boat, and lots of other fish, of course, with those lights on or whatever. But we were quite surprised with how many fish were attracted to that, and how many fish were actually there, right? So
Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
cool,
Right.
But yeah,
And I guess that makes sense. Like, I know some of the Sass Sport Fish Research Group there, they found fish that have left Buffalo, and that's like a dribble compared to what is west of Diefenbaker that I guess attaches Buffalo to Diefenbaker, right? Like that's hardly any water at all compared to what I was just looking at west of Diefenbaker there. So I mean, it makes sense that the fish could be anywhere in there. It's just, again, as far as an efficiency standpoint, there's probably a lot more productive water that a guy could go target. I'm sure there's some pools throughout there that hold quite a few fish, because it'd be kind of maybe the only pool for a little bit. But
true.
yeah, that'd be sweet. And who knows, maybe some browns in there. I don't know. It's always interesting hearing about the odd one that gets caught out that way. But yeah, you never. That'd probably be the number one bycatch if it did happen for you.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, like that area, if we even go a little bit further west of Eston Park, like into Lemsford Ferry and in there, that's kind of where when they used to, like, years ago there was a limit where you could catch two, you get a tag for sturgeon. This is back in the 90s or whatever, and then they've reduced it to one per year. But back when they targeted them, that's kind of where they went, was way like down in more or South Saskatchewan River, obviously, but west of that Eston Park area or whatever, that's where they would target the sturgeon, was in that water. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Nice. And I guess I don't even know I've never fished for sturgeon myself. You allowed to target them, or is that like a gray area?
I think it's a gray area for sure. Yeah, they kind of have not necessarily, I guess, hard set rules as far as that stuff, but they do kind of want you to like not handle them any more than you can. And as far as targeting them, I don't think they're in love with that either, kind of a thing. So, but it's not like a hard written rule as far as that goes. So.
Right, something kind of harder to prove. Someone said, "Oh, I wanted a beefier rod and line and pickerel rig for a big walleye or something like that." Right? It's hard to police that. And then, like you said, in the river, you never know if you're casting out a pickerel rig, you don't know what's going to come. Exactly. It could be literally anything. So no, that's pretty sweet. And then as you talked about, kind of if you're going for trout more, heading up more towards that Riverhurst area, you said you can find trout all along where you are, right? But more productive probably up that way towards Riverhurst.
Definitely more concentrated up there, yeah, for sure. Once in a blue moon, we will target them, and we will get a few doing it that way, but it can be a long day kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So, but they're definitely around. Lots of people are catching them and stuff like that. But as far as targeting them, that's where I'll go, is upriver quite a bit more. So
okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Do you have time, or do you fish the Sask Landing tournament at all?
I don't. I used to when I was a young man, but those days are done for me. So I enjoyed the tournament fishing, but kind of closed that chapter now, doing the guiding thing like for that. So
yeah.
But
it's different that way for sure. Like the biggest thing I found with guiding is it's so cool putting other people on fish. Obviously you got to know what you're doing to do it, but and a guy still, no one's gonna say no to catching a fish. Like as a guide, you always want to catch fish too, but there is something about putting someone else on fish. And was that something you had kind of done before and knew you liked to do, and that's another reason you got into that? Or was it just, this is a way I can be on the water, or a means to be on the water more kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I hadn't done it before. It's kind of new to me, I guess. But when I did buy the ticket off of Tom, he said, you're pretty much going to spend your whole savings doing this adventure. But he said it's going to be the most rewarding thing that you've ever had. And at the time, I didn't really know what he meant. He was right about both points for sure, though. So the coolest thing for me is I catch my first fish almost every day. You know, I do it through another person catching that fish, and you know, somebody catching their PB, or somebody catching, you know, like this monster fish. For me, I would rather a client catch it, and you know, a big 30-inch walleye, and you know, and that excitement is what fuels me now. It's like, it's a win for me. It's my fish. You know, I'm reliving that memory over and over. I just love it so much. That's the rewarding end of it for sure. And then the people you meet along the way too, like I've met for some forever friends for sure. Like my first ice fishing clients that we had out are some of our best friends now. So it's, you know, it's for sure. That's the whole beauty of it, is the people. And then, like I say, that reliving those first fishes and those big fish and whatnot. It's great. So yeah, that's everything really. So
for sure. No, that's.
Where are you getting most of your anglers from? Like, are they Saskatchewan locals? Or I heard you say that you had some from Devil's Lake, so you're obviously getting some attention down in the States also.
Yeah, for the most part, I would say Saskatchewan. We do get a lot from Alberta, though. Edmonton's a real hot spot for us. Calgary, Edmonton, a lot of the places there, high population, lots of people fishing. So a lot of people come here for that. In the winter, our furthest away clients we had last winter was from Dawson's Creek, BC. So that was a 13.5-hour drive one way for them to come out. So people are coming from everywhere. We get some clients south of the border, we're coming up to that season here too, where guys will get out goose hunting, bird hunting, and then we'll do fishing in the afternoons or whatnot. So those are pretty cool trips. But for the most part, I would say the local people have been really good to me. Plus, like all of Saskatchewan in general. Yeah. So
Do you find yourself like struggling to take local let's say people within like a 2-3 hour drive of you to some of your favorite fishing holes, knowing that they could potentially use that for their future gain? Or has there been any issue with that? Or
yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that for sure. In the summer, maybe not so much. Like we're running around in the summer to quite a few spots. Generally speaking, if they're people who come out with a guided fishing trip in the boat, they maybe don't have a boat themselves and won't be able to get to those
Right.
spots. Winter's definitely a different situation. I have guided people and then go to that spot the next day and that they have an ice shack set up there. That's part of the game. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
One thing with Diefenbaker, it's not like a lot of lakes. We might go to one place and just have it fire one day. We go back the next and you can't even find a fish on the live scope in that area. They really jump around a lot.
Right.
One of the things I love about Diefenbaker, maybe hate a little bit about it too, but it's a challenge. It keeps you on your toes for sure, right? You're always having
Yeah.
to move around a little bit. So
Yeah.
I have so many like spots that I go to and we'll just
Fair.
hit until we find the fish. And
Yeah.
generally speaking, I'm not really giving too many spots away, but it is a concern a little bit, Jesse, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a fair question, Jesse, because I have heard that with like say some Last Mountain stuff too. And yeah, the summer fishing, there's so many spots to hit. Lots of guys know spots to check out, but winter is a lot different, especially on Deef. Like Deef can be a cruel mistress to someone who maybe like doesn't know as much. Like obviously you spend a lot of time there. I'm sure you've got a full roster of spots that you're going to be checking in and hitting up there, but like Deef can be cruel to someone who doesn't know the lake as far as fish numbers. Like it can be some of the best fishing you've ever had, or it can be, like you said, just a ghost town.
Yeah.
So having someone set up on your spot there would be a tough part. I know I've talked to some other guys that guide in other places, and it's like there's it can be tougher taking out locals because you could turn into some competition that way. But I guess when you're out on the water every day doing your thing, you're gonna know more anyways in the end, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
that is the nice part. And I mean, when it comes down to it, just knowing how to target them too, or where to be that time of year, like you can't really fish the memories too much. Like, and maybe you took those guys out in February, and it could be totally different the next February too. Like it's the way those things can change.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would only take a couple off days for them to be like, oh, we're just gonna go try somewhere else anyways, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. One
that's
cool thing about Lake Diefenbaker, but also makes it another additional challenge, is that fluctuation in depth, right? So we'll start out with a full tank, and then through the winter, we'll get that sucked out. We'll lose 15 feet of elevation by the end of the winter. So might take somebody out, and I'll be on a drop or whatever, but then, by the end of that season, that drop will be way up, on shore kind of a thing, right? So if they're dropping points on that, they might come out and it's a totally different structure under there. So yeah, there is that factor.
They think they're drilling in 10 feet.
Yeah, it's true. And then it's all of a sudden it's sand. But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's fair. And does the rainbow trout fishing pick up in the winter there? Or is it kind of the same?
About the same. Yeah, about the
Yeah.
same. So there again, if you target them and stay in there, then you can obviously pick up the odd one for sure. But yeah, about the same for us. We definitely see them more in the spring, and then that early ice seems like it's really hot for them around there too.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely not a fish that we target that much, just because there's not as many down there. But at the same time, it's a pretty cool fish to catch just by accident too, right? So I had
for sure.
We got one here a couple of weeks ago, and the lady was just rolling up really slow at the bottom bouncer to check her worm, and boom, a rainbow hit it about in the middle of water collision. So it's kind of cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, the blades would be a perfect thing for it. It's just if it's in its wheelhouse, like where it's going to be spending most of its time, right? But yeah, no, that's sweet. And one thing me and Jesse noticed when we were kind of researching for our trip, mind you, we were going to be quite a bit farther east, but like as far as access to the lake, it's pretty well no man's land for lots of that area, hey?
It is absolutely right. So Sask Landing, and then Prairie Lake and Herbert Ferry have access, and then Riverhurst is your next access, and then even across from Riverhurst in that Lucky Lake area, you're not going to launch until you hit Hitchcock from there. So I mean, yeah, there isn't a whole bunch of launch points in that vicinity, that's for sure. So
Yeah, that's what we noticed. We were like, we don't really want to drive miles upon miles out on the lake, especially where I'm guessing there's no service at all either. It probably goes pretty dead there too, right? So
there's
in case something
definitely
did go wrong.
Yeah, definitely some dead zones in there. It's actually not bad. It's getting better all the time, kind of a thing. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's no, I'm just checking it out on Google Maps, and I mean the satellite image I don't think does it justice as just how big some of the areas too. But with how clear that water is on Deef, you can really tell where some areas would be that would be quite fishy. And me and Jesse were looking for kind of more of I think a pike trip, maybe some burbot or find some big walleye. But I've heard there's some with some of the mapping, there's some pretty fishy water going on. So I think it'll be pretty sweet to explore some of those areas. And I know even like lots of people that fish Riverhurst, I feel like kind of that Vodka Bay is like lots of the southern, almost as far south as people typically go, and so it seems like lots of untouched area that could be holding some nice fish. So that could always be interesting. But like you said, when you're running up and down the lake there, I guess you probably have lots of it mapped. I'm guessing you're mapping when you're running.
Yeah. I pretty much just have my own maps at this point. I guess there's some maps that are coming. I don't know of anything that's past like elbow area or whatever that they have currently or whatever. But yeah, I've just got my own mapping kind of a stuff that I'm pretty much always recording unless I'm going full speed. So.
Right. Well, that'd be nice there, because the way Diefenbaker likes to throw up sandbars for you,
This is true, exactly right. And then, of course, with this year, with our water up higher than what we've seen in probably 7 years, we're losing shoreline like crazy here. So it's
like it's sloughing in, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just like the water's up on a lot of those cut banks, and then the waves will undermine the cut banks and smash them in. So yeah, that's one thing with Lake Diefenbaker. It's forever changing. Like I get a lot of clients who'll come out and they'll say, "Hey, when I was a kid, we fished in front of this big peninsula that went out into the lake like 300 yards." And in that case, I said to the lady that's actually right there, and she's like, "No, it came like halfway into the lake." And I said, "Yeah, that's it. It's actually gone." So it's known as Bear Paw there, and it used to be this great big, and it was probably 35, 40 feet tall, just this beautiful big cliff that came out in the middle, and it's gone. I can motor over top of it with the boat and not even see a variation in depth. Even it's gone. Like everything above is gone and everything underneath is gone too. So
just washed away.
Yeah, it's definitely like just what I've seen them do.
Even that year to year would change your spots and like where you're taking people fishing. So I guess like if your water's changing, your structure's changing that much, I mean, even if someone wanted to waypoint and kind of piggyback your spots, like in a year it could be totally different, let alone 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just thought of something, and then I totally blanked my mind. I was thinking about pike again. As far as like how when you are traveling in the winter on the ice, is it things get pretty snowed in there, or is there kind of trails that get plowed, anything like that, with it being kind of around the community there, or how does that look for you? I know lots of the time when I travel on Deef, luckily if the water's gone down, I travel on shore quite a bit just because I'm kind of sussed out by the by the ice sometimes. But what do you find is the best way to travel on Deef?
So in our area there, we don't have the snow. Generally speaking, the snow isn't that much of a problem. We have enough wind that it'll blow that snow off, kind of a thing. So we don't get bunked up with snow to the point even to where we have to push it with a plow or anything like that. But having said that, it'll also really drift around ice shacks and stuff. That's maybe the biggest inconvenience of drifting in around there. But that is a great tool. Like that's the nice thing about Lake Diefenbaker with that ice, crouching down, and as it goes down, it'll sit on top of that shoreline. Well, you can actually be on ice that had dirt underneath it, kind of a thing. So a lot of times
Mhm.
we'll use the shore to get around heaves and that type of stuff. We do get quite a few heaves on Lake Diefenbaker. They seem like they show up in the same exact area every year too, which blows my mind how that whole system works. But yeah, we'll use that ice on top of the shore to go around those heaves and travel there as long as the snow. But generally speaking, we don't really have much of a snow problem on there. So
Okay, that's good. Good to know, because yeah, we were kind of, myself and Jesse were figuring out, like, do we need sleds? Do we want quads side by side? Like, what's the ticket going to be there if we are doing miles of shoreline? But
yeah.
it's just one of those things where you gotta exercise the caution, especially on that lake. Is that kind of in the area where there is some of the gas bubbles are more prevalent too?
Yeah, definitely. Area of Diefenbaker will have some gas pockets. Probably the same throughout the whole thing. There are areas that we will stay away from, just as a rule of thumb, kind of a thing. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's definitely something to have your eye open on. That's for sure. So, but yeah. So
Well, and that's why they got you there.
there you go.
Telling them where to go too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, exactly. That's that in all reality, no joking aside, it is kind of the nice thing about coming out with a guide. You can, it's I've been to where my shacks are, etc., whatever. So it takes some of that element away for sure, right? So
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And just since we're on the ice fishing topic,
Mm-hmm.
what's your fleet kind of look like for the ice season, like with people booking shacks and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first started out with the guiding there 4 years ago, I thought I'll have a dozen day shacks and maybe a couple overnight shacks. But in reality, I have one day shack currently, and I have three overnight shacks. And that's really what everybody wants to do, is come out and spend the weekend on the ice or spend a week on the ice. We get lots of people who come out for the whole week and ice camp. I love it because a lot of the people we get aren't even those die-hard fishermen. They just want to come out and do experience that whole staying out on the ice and that whole thing, which is cool to me, right? Because like I'm just like, if I don't have my hook in the water, it's almost like lost time for me, kind of a thing, right? But
Yeah.
to see it from somebody else's eyes like that's pretty cool. But
Right.
but yeah, we do have three overnight shacks. Two of them are the big hydraulic ice castle style ones that lower to the ground, and they're real luxury units for sure. So we get a lot of families come out. We get a lot of people will come out and they'll say, my partner doesn't really fish, so this is a great opportunity to get the kids out and everybody can be together and still fish and because like I mean there's so much luxury. We have they have Starlink internet at every shack. A generator runs 24/7. There's 12,000 TV channels, two TVs in every shack, underwater cameras. I mean, I could go on, but they're very luxury. There's like all of the comforts of home for sure. You can be in there with just your slippers and t-shirt on in 30 below weather. So it's definitely a pretty they're pretty nice outfits for sure. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that could almost just be more of like a retreat for some people, a weekend getaway or a week getaway kind of thing, right? Not, I'm always for just, you always think about like what you do, right? So I'm always thinking of someone who's just wanting to fish.
yeah.
But yeah, the whole family side of it there, that'd be huge. And those ice castles, I mean, they're such a good
It's
setup for
perfect.
that too. It's yeah. And when you're getting put on fish too, like I know I saw, was it last winter, that huge pike that was in one of those?
Yeah, so that was actually my buddy Joe, who I spoke about it earlier here in today. That was one of his master angler pikes that he had gotten. He'd actually already got one previous to that. So, but this was a master angler too. That was right in the ice shack. It wasn't actually even out on a tip up. So, yeah, he said that
Right.
was quite a ordeal to get that guy in. So.
How
Oh,
big
yeah,
we
that was a
talking
tank.
here?
I think that fish was a 45 incher. So yeah,
Dang.
it was a
Dang,
nice
Yeah,
big.
that's a serious fish.
Yeah, we have some serious juicy pike on Lake Diefenbaker too. Some real big ones. We had Lisa Roper out, and I don't want to give too much away. The episode hasn't got on air yet, but but she got a nice big pike, and she was, she fishes Lac La Biche quite a bit. And the fish
Yeah.
there can be real big, but they're a little bit more slender, I guess, than what we'll have on Diefenbaker.
Mhm.
And she
Okay.
was blown away by the girth of that fish. She just kept comparing it to how big her hand was open and whatnot, and she was just blown away by it. So yeah, we have some great pike. We're really lucky to have that in our backyard, to be quite honest. So
Well, for sure. Yeah, I know when we run the March Madness tournament there in March, I know just from knowing some of the people that are in it and where they're fishing, definitely some of the fattest pike, I'd say per inch, seem to come from that Sask Landing Beaver Flats area. So there's definitely some big pike there, and yeah, they must just put on the feed bag with all that bait you're talking about, and they're just. I mean, they're also getting closer to spawn there too, so that's a lot of their weight. But yeah, those fish are just kind of slobs, for lack of a better term, to describe them. Like, they're heavy fish. Yeah. No, you can definitely get some on some other lakes. You can get some of those more like rail pike kind of things, right? Like they're way more slender, more streamlined, and but yeah, when you get some of those big ones trying to come up the 10-inch hole and they're filling it up like that, that's always very exciting, no matter who you are. So
yeah,
that's no complaints there.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of pike fishing. When I was in my late 20s and 30s. That's what I was just obsessed with, getting a 30-pound pike, or 48-inch or whatever, right? And I never did get that 48, but about 2 years ago, I was out with a buddy. We were actually just kind of, searching for spots to put the shack, and I put a tip up in the shallows, and sure enough, I got my big pike there. It actually measured out to 47 3/4 of an inch. We didn't weigh it,
Wow.
obviously. We just put her back down, but that I still think was my 30-pound pike that I'd been looking for.
Probably was. Yeah, with that sort of length.
Just insane. Yeah.
No,
We did a little.
that's pretty
big fish.
crazy.
Yeah, we did a little video, of course, in the wind and out on the ice, and I posted it to TikTok and got 2 million views. It kind of went a little viral for, like, I guess a South Saskatchewan guy, that's for sure. So it was pretty cool, though. I had like people reaching out who I hadn't talked to in like 10 years, and they were like, "Hey, buddy, you're famous. I see your picture here in Ontario or wherever, right?"
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, we're
Funny
lucky.
how one fish can do that for a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. And I guess kind of we've covered a lot of the fishing, obviously, and what there is to offer there. But I think kind of getting back to the outfitting business and whatnot, what's it? I guess some of the challenges and whatnot that you maybe didn't think of, or that you've come across, and you're like, I didn't really think this would be something I'd be having to deal with. And then obviously on the flip side of that, some of the most rewarding parts of the whole endeavor.
Yeah, for sure. I think probably challenging for me is, like, on the day-to-day side, is probably your weather. Is that can be challenges. As far as, like, still sort of back to fishing again side, but like this year, for example, we had 5 inches of rain hit Red Deer and in that area, and all of a sudden we had about a 24-hour period where we gained an inch of elevation on Lake Diefenbaker per hour. We actually had that measured on a stick. It was about an inch of elevation per hour, which, when you think about that, an inch of water on that,
a lot of water.
Oh, crazy. So of course that, like, instantly, just like, the Saturday I was out, I had a half day. I was registering about 18.8 degrees Celsius water. I went out the Sunday and it had dropped to 14. And the fish we went from about a 55 fish day on that half day to the Sunday we got 10. Monday, I found some water that was 10 degrees Celsius. It just cooled it right off, and those fish just disappeared. So it's definitely, that's probably the biggest challenge. Of course, running a guiding business and a business period, there's the challenges with, running a business, I guess, like stuff like that. If I could just stay in that boat and not have to do any bookkeeping and stuff like that, it would be all great, right? But I'll tell you something, that is definitely the benefits outweigh the challenges, etc. Whatever. Like I said, it's just so many things that, that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. I'll get into a little bit of a story here. I don't want to get too far off track, but I had a young fellow named Ronan. Him and his dad came out. Wasn't last winter, it was the winter before, and this was about the end of February. February can be a little bit of a grind. Of course, it's cold, right? Everything breaks in the cold, so I spend a lot of time just fixing. Well, I left home here, probably grouchy as an old bear, and went down to the lake to fix a generator, and it just happened to be a lot easier of a repair than I thought. So I knocked on one of the shack doors and said, "Hey, do you guys want to come fishing for the evening and with me?" And they of course said, "Yeah, for sure, we'll come fishing with you." So that trip was, I'll remember forever. Young Ronan there, he was just a really great fisherman. He probably caught about 15, 16 fish that evening, and myself and his dad got, I think, 7 put together. So
Wow.
it was great. But I'll tell you one little thing on that trip that kind of like was pretty cool. But he would be sitting on his knees on the ice and he would be fishing and he would say, "Got one." And that's when he just got that first little tap on his rod. He'd say, "Got one." And
Yeah,
he'd put
yeah.
that rod right on the ground and he'd stand up in the stand up position and reach down and grab his rod, like just nonchalant, no emergency, no anything at all. And he would lift that rod ever so lightly and then set the hook. And every single time he would say, "Oh, he licked her right out of the mud." And oh man, I just loved it. Every single time he set that hook, he would say, "Licked her right out of the mud." And oh man, I love that
That's
so much.
awesome.
But he was a cool kid for sure. He one other thing that he did there that was like pretty cool is he wanted a picture with every single one of those fish. And at one point I said, "Ronan, you don't want this wrinkly old face in every one of your pictures." And he said, "But Arden, I do." He said, "This is one of the best evenings of fishing I've ever had. I want to remember this forever," he said. So it's just little moments like that that you realize how much of an impact maybe that people have on you. And then in return back to me too. I came home that evening and said, Nicole, as soon as I walked in the door, pretty much Nicole was like, "What the heck happened to you? You're a different person that went left that day," right? So it was just that little boost of energy that I needed and just put things back to square to where what this is all about. You know what I mean? So
That's awesome.
For sure. And I'm sure with lots of that stuff too, the nice thing is when you're getting a kid like that really hooked on it, like you're also showing them how to do things properly too, which is it's a great way to learn from the start how to do things properly. And I think that'd be a big part of it too, right? Whether they're in the boat with you or if you show them just even how to set things up and everything like that that'd be huge. But I love that down in the mud thing, because I've got my cousin, he was younger too. Every time he'd be on the flasher, this is before we had live scope or anything, he'd see a mark come in, he'd say, "In the mud," and he just put it in the mud. He's like, "Just gonna pound the mud." And every time, same thing, big hook sets too. So it reminded me of that. But yeah, for some reason, I always forget. Maybe I should just drop it into the mud, but I'll be remembering that one now for sure. Other than when I'm burbot fishing, that's burbot fishing totally different. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, for both yourself and Jesse, you obviously it's not an easy job, so you wouldn't continue to do it if you didn't love it, right? There's definitely an easier way to make a living, but as far as enjoyment and whatnot, there, I think that's the biggest part, right? I don't know if Jesse agrees.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I guess Jesse, I've thought about it before. I never asked you. Could you see yourself having your own guiding thing at some point?
I definitely could. It would have to be the right area or the right scenario. I think as far as like the fishing side of things, I don't know if I could go to a poor
Walleye
fish. Well, no, just a poor fishery. Like, whether if there wasn't that pursuit of big trophy fish, and I think I'd struggle with it. And then like the hunting side of things, I think a whitetail camp would be really cool. But again, it would have to be the right area that was well managed and something that I'm not going to have to work 15 years to see some quality deer again. That sort of thing. But yeah, it is on my mind.
That's fair. And Arden, is there any hunting allocation that came with the fishing, or just straight fishing?
yeah, just straight fishing, angling only. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the nice
But
thing
that'd
about
be pretty sweet. in the fall. Sorry to cut you off there. I was
No,
gonna say that'd be pretty sweet in the fall for guys who went out and did a morning bird hunt, and now they can go fishing in the afternoon. Like the way some of these afternoons are in the fall, they're just beautiful. It'd be awesome to be on the water, and that'd be a nice little combo. It'd be a long day being up early to do the birds, but that would be a pretty sweet day, I think, for lots of, say, Americans that have come up or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a group that's booked here to come in again. They come every year, and yeah, it's a blast for sure to have them come out. They're from like Billings, Great Falls. One of the guys is from Las Vegas. So yeah, it's
Okay.
and just great guys. Like that's one thing, I do get people say, like, do you ever get people on the boat who maybe, but you know what? I've had great clients on the boat. Everybody's like-minded, and it's great. It's no negativity there for sure. So I love that part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that maybe is a little bit different too. It just comes with the territory, given that, I guess, the general clientele too, right? Like I think you get a lot more of, I don't know if saying the normal person is the right word. Like it's the cost of some of the camps up north, or some of the hunts you say that would happen up north. Like you've got a different.
It's unreachable
person, right?
for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you get more of your average person that would be coming down and enjoying this. So it'd make it probably a lot easier to be hanging out, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
more like-minded in that sense. So I think that would play into it huge. And as far as what you're running on the water, we didn't even ask you, what are you running for a boat and everything?
I've got a Triton 202 with a 225 Mercury on the back. So and it does
lots of room and can go fast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a good boat. If I had my wish list, I would maybe get into something with jump seats. I find the seats can sometimes be a little awkward, where if I had those jump seats, I could run, people just on those jump seats have a little bit more room in the back pit, but that would be my only change up, and that's not something I'm going to be changing boats to get into, especially with the cost of them now, right? So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of got out of hand.
yeah, exactly. So
Kinda.
my boat
Yeah.
I've had for probably 10 plus years, and I could get more for it now than what I paid for it, kind of a thing, especially with like the electronics that I have on it, so kind of a thing, right? So yeah, that's a real thing for sure. So and then,
yeah, not losing any money on the boat when you bought it over a decade ago.
exactly.
And there's lots of people like that. My boat was 12 years old, I think, when I bought it, and I bought it for what it was suggested price was. I mean, there's a couple different things added, but basically what asking was when it was brand new. So that's definitely a thing, and it hurts when you see that.
Exactly.
But, yeah. No, that's good there. And then I guess we've kept you for just over an hour here already. But what's the future kind of looking like? I know you were talking about cabin.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the future is. In the immediate future, I'll have Jesse and Logan out fishing. You guys have an open invitation to come out anytime.
Yes.
So get on some of those big walleye and big pike, and yeah, maybe even catch a sturgeon along the way. So
let us know when it starts freezing up down there.
Absolutely.
That's when I'll be available anyway.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. I'll do that. Let's keep in touch on that. But yeah, we're actually really excited for the future for sure. As you'd mentioned, we're building a cabin out at Beaver Flat, and it's we're calling it kind of a lodge. It does have living quarters in it. It's a separate standalone cabin within the structure, and it has 2 bedrooms. We can probably sleep around 8 people in there, because we do have like a hide-a-bed situation plus a little loft inside one of the bedrooms as well with people. So we're super excited about that. Not everybody want to spend the night on the lake, right? Sometimes that ice cracking and stuff in the middle of the night can scare some people off, which I understand that. I probably spend 50% of my life in the winter on the ice, so it's like that I don't even notice it at this point, but I do understand that's kind of troubling for sure. So we're excited for that option. And then of course in the summer we can have our guests out, and so many different avenues there. We can even have people come out with their own boat and stay, and we can house them that way and stuff like that. So there's that. As far as other little items that we are kind of wanting to do in the future, we'd probably have room for another overnight shack. I'd mentioned to you before that I thought I'd have a dozen day shacks and a couple overnights, but it probably in reality could almost be the other way around. I could probably have quite a few overnight shacks at this point. just doing it by myself and Nicole kind of part-time. I'm pretty much at max capacity, but in the future I could see definitely getting into that. It's popular. We have a ton of spots already booked for the ice season. So yeah,
Nice.
and then from there, just enjoying it for sure. So it's a great life. So I'm just going to enjoy it and meet more people and catch my first fish every day in the
Yeah.
future, right?
Oh, for
So
sure.
yeah, so
Love it.
No,
Love
that's
it.
that's the excitement you need, right? If someone's bringing a fish in and you're not excited about it, why would someone who maybe doesn't know as much be excited about it, right? Like usually it's pretty hard to say you get like if someone catches a 40-inch pike as their first pike, they might think, well, this is what it's like. But if you're not hyping that fish up,
yeah,
right, that's what it could come across. I know that was a tough thing, being like, this is a nice fish. Like you gotta understand, like really anything in that like 38 plus. I remember being like, this is a good fish. Is a good fish. And if someone didn't understand that, like,
exactly.
or I guess lucky enough to not know how many hammer handles are out there that they usually have to sort through
Yeah.
before the big one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm the kind of guy who celebrates every fish kind of a thing. I like the little guys too. It's like, we pay respect to them too, kind of a thing. But I hear you for
Yeah.
sure. So it's one of the things that it's pretty cool. I've spent a lot of time on that lake and I take a lot of things for granted. I had a client from Prince Edward Island come out and there was two coyote pups on the shore. And of course, for us prairie boys, seeing coyotes on the shore isn't going to even really turn a second eye to it, but he was blown away by it. And so we got closer with the boat and, just sat there and watched him. And it was super cool to watch him fight and wrestle. And that's a situation where I wouldn't even have got to experience that kind of a thing, right? Because it just would have been like, well, I've seen a million of them things right over the time. But
Yeah.
you just get to relive all those moments over and over and over again. And yeah, that's the rewards right there. So
Right. For sure. Well, no, that's all good. You got anything else here, Jesse, before we wrap this thing up?
I was curious, like how early you see ice down there. When's it's like, because you were talking about early ice and like what's the date what you're normally walking out or testing the ice out.
right. So I probably won't get clients on the ice until pretty close to Christmas time as a rule of thumb.
Okay.
That's kind of when I'll even have my big ice houses. I think they were out on the 26th of December. That time where Nicole and I went out, that was probably 3 inches of ice maybe, and that was about the beginning of December, maybe 2nd of December kind of a thing. So it depends on, some years we can get a bunch of snow on a small amount of ice and stunt the growth quite a bit. But
Sure.
we froze over last year, November 27th was the date that it froze. And then it was cold for quite a while after. So we were walking on it pretty quick. In fact, we had a guy who was a 2-week lapse from when he was in a boat fishing and when he was on the ice fishing, and on there it just seemed like when it froze, it went pretty quick. But yeah, it's different every year. The first year we started, it didn't freeze until we had that polar vortex on January 15th. That was the first we could even get out there with trucks. But yeah, it definitely, it's kind of all over the map there for sure. But
yeah.
But
That's good to know.
Yeah, I love first ice though. So yeah, I can keep in touch with you there. So the big pike are rolling when that first ice too. So
Yeah, it'd be nice to get on some pike earlier in the year there too.
yeah,
Rather than wait until that March or I guess late February kind of thing. But
yeah,
I mean, Jesse finds them wherever he goes. He's just a pike guy. But
pike magnet, nice.
Yeah, he thinks walleye are easy. He had that line.
Okay.
He's just not giving
fish,
himself enough credit.
I love all fish.
Yeah. No, he had a pretty good stretch there last February, March, where the master anglers were coming left, right, and center.
Nice.
It was a good winter.
For him.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, he had I mean, he also, I don't know how many days you put in between February into March and then stock trout in April. You're out.
It was a lot, man. It was a lot. Like I remember being out ice fishing end of April, and I was like, "Why am I still doing this? Like this is, I'm not even enjoying it anymore. I'm just out here, and I'm like, okay, I should probably go shed hunting or something."
Yeah. switch it up a little bit. No, that's all good. And I guess just to finish things off here, Arden, kind of plug away. Where can everyone find you? Where can they book trips?
Yeah.
All that stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously get on our social medias and like our pages and do all that jazz for sure. Where you can find us is on our website, southsassfishingadventures.com. And like most of my videos, I like to close off by saying, we'll get you out fishing. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, for
That's
sure. Get on our
perfect.
social
I like
media
it.
stuff and like and share our pages and whatnot. So we're going to do a big merchandise giveaway here pretty quick, maybe to promote the episode when it comes out. We'll maybe have something like that to get it going. But yeah, for sure. Look us up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, for sure. No, we'll definitely send people that way. There'll be a link in the description, everything like that, to the website, so people can find it nice and quick, and it'll just live there for the life of this episode too. So hopefully that kind of brings people in nonstop there whenever they're looking up Diefenbaker or anything like that. Obviously, it's a popular body of water, so that definitely plays into it. But we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening. Good luck with the cabin there. The rest of your open water season. It's already halfway through August here, so
Yeah.
things are going to be changing quickly here, and soon enough will be full-fledged fall, and then I guess a little bit later at Diefenbaker, but then we'll be getting into some ice fishing. So
Yeah, exactly.
it'll be exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, well, thanks for
Definitely
having me,
appreciate
guys.
it. And
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
nice
for sure.
chatting
Thanks
with you,
for coming
Arden.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
episode 124 complete, in the books. Huge thanks to Arden for sitting down with us this week. Pretty nice getting to chat with him. I talked to him on the phone a little bit before, like when we were setting up the recording and everything, and tons of information there, easy to talk to, kind of everything that you would hope for in a guide as well when you're out there. So it sounds like he's got a pretty cool thing going on down there. Definitely me and you will have to venture down that way for our first trip down there. I mean, if you're going down there and you don't know it, like Dief, like I said in the interview, Dief can be a tough lake, and when you don't know much about an area, trying to know where you want to go, everything like that, like it definitely pays dividends to go out with a guide. And there's nothing wrong with picking his brain, right, while you're out there and trying to learn more. That's a huge part of it all. So definitely Arden has a lot to teach people and help people learn, and whether it's handling fish, finding fish, everything like that.
And you can hear that and see that with that interview that we did. Like that's his passion, 100%.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, no, that was exciting to see. Exciting to see what happens there with the cabin. I'm sure there'll be some updates on the socials there too. Obviously nice to have that there if you're wanting to do a couple-day trip in the summer once he has that cabin available. Make all that stuff a lot easier. So if you're listening, Arden, huge thanks for coming on once again, like we said at the end of the interview there. And definitely something we'll probably have to do in the future again. Maybe one on the ice, who knows? If we go there for early ice and spend some time out there, you never know.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, hearing him talk about like the biodiversity and just how much food and how productive that area is, it really gets the wheels turning and gets me thinking, gets me curious for when I do get some time to fish for myself.
Gets you thinking about some big tip-up baits, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you still have those ones, some of the bait that you got from here?
No, I think I pretty much went through it all, Logan. Yeah.
Yeah. Clean me out, eh?
Yeah, cleaned you out, man. I got to come down to restock up.
Yeah. No, I'll go do the 3-hour or 2-hour drive for you and get some more.
Yeah, we don't want to disclose any more further information.
Yeah, no, for sure. But no, like I said, big thanks to Arden for coming on. We don't have anything else in the outro here. Little tease for some Crush City versus the Mall for the intro in our next episode, whatever that ends up being. But kind of going into that, again, huge thanks to 13 Fishing Canada for being the presenting sponsor of the show since the very beginning. You can head over to the Rapala Canada website, use the code Weekend Warriors, and save yourself 15% off the entire website at checkout. Like I said, that's all we got here. Leave a like, comment, share the episode, whatever. Let us know, message us what you want for the next one. Jesse has something.
Did you ever check the poll from Spotify, or did you make that poll? I never even checked it. Remember you were going to make a poll of who had the better story?
To make the poll.
Dang it.
Yeah. Well,
I forgot to look.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot to make the poll. I crushed out that episode so quick for editing to turn it around. I forgot to put up the poll. So, yeah.
Oh, dang.
Maybe we'll mention it again in the other intro there, the next intro, and maybe I'll put up a poll. skew the
Sure.
votes a little bit. Tell everyone to vote for mine.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but that's all we got for episode 124. Thanks for listening to this one, and we'll see you in episode 125.